So hello everyone. Good morning again, or good evening. I don't know. I see we have a couple of people from the other side of the world. Hope your academic year is as normal as possible. English book heaven. That's true. I like that. Um, Today we're going to be talking about the ECPE close. My subtitle, Discourse Level Language Use, explains how I see the close, or what I think the close is. Perhaps one of the most misunderstood parts of any examination. I'd like to begin with getting your take on this. So, what exactly is a closed passage? First of all, let's start with that. So, little brainstorming here. I'd like you to think of one or two definitions, explanations, descriptions of what a closed passage exactly is. I'll give you a minute or two to do this. You can add your info in the chat box. I think everybody can see the chat. If not, I'll share some of the information that I get. So just tell me, what is a closed passage? That's good. Actually, that's pretty good. Missing word, reading grammar, real life English. Wow. A passage with gaps. That is so true. But combined with multiple choice, yes. All the above. That's pretty good. Actually, this is pretty good. You're pretty close. It is, as Vasily said, all in one: reading, grammar, real life English. Real life English, of course, denotes use. I guess, Katerina, when you say real life English, it's language use as described by Whittleson. Nerve-wracking for students at times. Yes, Elizabeth, it is so true. But hopefully, by the end of today's seminar, we'll have some solutions for those students who find it nerve-wracking. So what exactly is a close? I actually Googled this. I was curious what Dr. Google had to say. It just checks overall comprehension. Very good, Artemis. Because basically that's what a closed passage is. Yes, a student has to give words that that are fill in a blank from a text, but ultimately a close activity tests their reading comprehension, purely and simply. The closed passage is a reading comprehension activity, because in order to choose the correct answer, students have to understand the text, right? I mean, it goes without saying. A lack of comprehension means they're unable to choose the correct answer choice. It is futile. So the closed passage is actually another way to test overall reading skills. And if you look at the types of words that are in the blanks, you'll see that they're very much a reflection of the reading process. Last week, we talked about reading comprehension, and a lot of the things that we mentioned last week, I'm going to mention again in today's presentation. The importance of identifying discourse markers, because quite often the blank pertains to cause and effect relationships, sequential relationships, whether or not the statement is providing some sort of exemplification, clarification. The same thing that occurs in reading comprehension. Words that are referent markers, different types of pronouns, personal, relative, possessive pronouns, different demonstrative forms, different determiners, the, some, etc., few, a few. These are all elements that pertain to reading and reading comprehension and following the flow of discourse. We also have the same sort of syntactical features that are focused upon as we do have in reading comprehension. Um, Reported speech versus direct speech, different inverted forms to provide emphasis, clef constructions, participial forms, etc. And of course, looking at entire phrases and not just collocations. Of course, there are collocations, but entire phrases, relative clauses, um, uh, adverbial clauses of different sorts, and obviously, um, this is something which we're all aware of quite often. The answer choice is 4 different words, and choosing the correct answer choice is a topic related vocabulary item, which again, I mean, since it's topic related, if I haven't understood what I've just read, I won't be able to choose the appropriate word. So this slide here could be used equally validly in a presentation on reading comprehension. And I'm sure you'll agree with that. And if we look at the ECP close passage in particular, we'll see that it does reflect the reading process, or it reflects the same types of mechanisms, as you will, that a student has to activate when doing any type of reading comprehension activity. So question types, the 4 answer choices, very important point, they're identical, so they're the same parts of speech, same type of phrase. One thing, and I'm going to mention this again and again because it's a very important change, on the new revised Michigan ECPE, the blank in the closed passage might be an entire clause, even not just one word or phrase. It could be an entire clause, like a very significant chunk of language, an entire relative clause or time clause might be like the 4 answer choice are 4 complete clauses, which in and of themselves are correct chunks of language. My next point here, all 4 answer choices seem correct. And in fact, at the phrase level and even at the paragraph level, the correct answer choice isn't really so apparent. You have to read the whole passage in order to be able to choose the correct answer choice, and not just the sentence or the phrase in which the blank occurs. It's very important. Quite often on the closed passage, and I've seen this, there's a, and I've done this too. I've tried to do it in some of the closed passages that I created in All American, and in any previous work I've done, where the correct answer choice, although the blank is at the beginning of a text, the key to understanding what is the correct answer choice occurs somewhere towards the end of the text. So it's very important for students to read the whole thing before they start choosing the correct answer choice. This is something we have to teach them to do. Quite often, if students choose the first word that seems correct and they're reading the passage on the basis of a word that they've mistakenly put in the blank because it seemed right, it'll cause them to misread the entire text, and it'll just lead to more needless mistakes. So very important to read the whole thing, look at all 4 answer choices, and then choose. As far as how to handle a closed passage in the classroom, and the thing I like about closed passages, any discourse, extended discourse type activities, whether it's the reading comprehension, the part 3 of the listening, especially, even the writing, and anytime we have extended discourse, there's a lot of opportunity there to use this activity to generate a lot of language and to help students. And by generating language, of course, students get a better understanding of the task that they'll be encountering, increase their language awareness. It's just, so many benefits that we're all aware of, obviously. So the way I do a closed passage, I mean, it's not just simply, okay, let's read this Great. Fill in the blanks. Give me your answer choices. Great. Let's move on to something else. And we do this again and again. Here, this is a testing. We're in testing mode. And I think when we're in the classroom, as much as is possible, we should be in teaching mode. We should look for ways to use whatever material we're using in the classroom to consolidate and develop students' language awareness, language use. With the closed passage, and we're going to do this actually, well, we're going to try to do it in a digital format. It's kind of hard to do. But what I do when I do a closed passage with my students is first I have them read the short statement introducing the closed passage, as we do in the reading comprehension. And they read the first 2 or 3 lines, first sentence or two, which don't have a blank on the examination. The first couple of lines rarely have a blank. And there's a reason for this. The rationale is that students have to be able to understand what the text is generally about, have to establish the writer's purpose so they know what to focus on as they read. So they get a better understanding of the text, and they have a better understanding of the text, then they'll be able to choose the correct answer choice. I do this, do a little brainstorming, get students to respond to, okay, what do you think this text is going to be about? What information are you going to be reading? What type of information do you expect to encounter? The same thing I would do with any reading comprehension or an extended listening activity. Then students, and by the way, I have them cover the answer choice. So they're not looking at the answer choices. As I said, we're going to be doing this together. And I ask them 4 basic questions. What is the writer's purpose? Why has this person written this text? What are the key points of this text? Important lexical items that relate to the topic. And I would draw their attention to different reference markers, reference words, discourse markers that help us understand the flow of information. And basically, what I would do, as I said, with any reading comprehension activity. And let's try doing that now. Let me open up my. So I've got here. Okay, so here we got the, as I said, the process that we're going to be following, and we have it right here. So just, there we go. So this is the closed passage. I hopefully you can see this. Maybe you can zoom in with your phones. If you have a copy of All-in-One, then cover the books, the answer choices. So I'm in the classroom, and I'm doing this closed passage. I would have students cover their answer choices, and I would have them just read the opening statement. This passage is about slow food, and the first couple of the first sentence or two. So just do that. Just read the first. We'll try and do this interactively if possible. Okay, so just by reading this opening, this passage is about slow food. 1986, a group of activists gathered at one of Rome's historic corners to protest the planned opening of a famous fast food chain outlet. So what do you think this, if you've not read it, hopefully you haven't, but what do you expect this passage to be about? Perhaps you're already familiar with the slow food movement. Preventing the opening, yes. Oh, yes, Elizabeth, punctuation play very important. Yes, sorry. Yeah, that punctuation is part of the reading process. A very, very good point, Elizabeth. Yes, punctuation does play an important role, and we have to make students aware of this. Very good point. How slow food is related to slow food, fast food, yeah. About processing, about what we eat. Well, that's pretty good, yeah. So now I'd like you to read the rest of this passage, again, without looking at the correct answer choice. So read the rest of the passage. So hopefully you've you've read it. So first question, what is the writer's main idea? I mean, why has this person written this text? What point does this person want to make? What's his reason or her reason for writing? Well, his reason. I mean, I wrote it. Well, why was this text written? Yeah, how people feel about how food is produced and consumed. Inform us about slow food. To stress the aim of the slow food movement. Yeah. Slow food philosophy. Okay, that's pretty good. So, what are a couple of key words, key statements from this text? Wholesome food cultivated. How we affects the entire world. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's basically it. Another question, though, food choices, yes, and how these food choices affect. But one thing is this: text about the slow food movement, is it one-sided or two-sided? Does it say how wonderful the slow food movement is? No. Good. It's two-sided. Yeah, very good. Yeah. It's two-sided. A mixed blessing. Yeah, very good. Yeah, myself, I like doing stuff in the classroom where students do have to use their critical thinking. It's not just Pollyanna type situation where this is perfect and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, because nothing is perfect. There's always a however in everything. Yes, yes, very good, very good. That's very, very, very true. So now what I'd like you to do is, try to fill in the blanks. Try to fill in the blanks without looking at the answer choices. Aftermath, yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so I don't want to the miss despite, yeah. So unfortunately, I think the medium as such, we can't really do this. Go over this together. I mean, it's typing your answers, but I encourage you to compare your answers. And you do this with your students. So we fill in the blanks with our own words, and then we compare our words with the correct answer choice. And quite often, the word chosen by the students is the same word as the answer choice. Sometimes they're synonymous, but it still works. And sometimes, of course, they could be totally off, which means that perhaps students have misunderstood the text. And if students choose a word like their own answer choice, which is off the mark, you could ask them, well, why did you choose this word? And in talking about why they made their wrongful answer choice, it helps you understand, or helps them understand, what they've misread or what they've not understood in this passage. And we do this again with, so there's the correct answer choices right there in case you don't have them with the blank. I'll let you have a look at that a bit. Maybe you can zoom in if you're looking at this on your phones. Okay, so, and I've prepared something like this with the other closed passages as well. So if you want, we can do this. Well, yeah, let's do this with this one. So let's try it one more time. Again, read the opening statement. Okay, so this passage is about overtraining. So what do you think students are going to, what do you think what information is this passage going to impart on students? Workout in moderation. Yeah, very good. Yeah. Overtraining and its side effects. Yeah. Drawbacks of exercising. Drawbacks of exercising. Words that couch potatoes love to hear. Pause if you have to. Yeah, very good. So basically, that's pretty good because what you've done, you've basically, boys won't like it. No, they will not. On this ego tripping too. But basically, what we've done here is pretty good because what you've done is you've basically touched on what is about to be read. And this is exactly what students, this is what we do in the classroom. Overtraining how we can moderate activity. Excellent. Basically, what we've done here is we've made predictions. And now when students read this, having made these predictions, they'll be more receptive to this information. And when they're more receptive to this information, they'll be able to choose the answer choices more accurately. So right now, I'd like to just quickly read this text. Okay, great. So again, so what is, why has this text been written? What point does the writer want to make? Good overtraining, how we can moderate it. Raise awareness. One thing I'd like to point out with this passage or passages like this is they point out a problem, then provide a solution to this problem. And the way it's set up, like the students have to understand the problem that we're identifying and then the solutions to this problem. What are some of the key words that we see in this text? Topic-related words that help us establish the context, help us establish the writer's key ideas. Benefits of training, overtraining, exercise regularly, overtraining, counterproductive. Symptoms, yeah. Symptoms is it's a problem. Real danger, good, yeah, great, good. So basically we're identifying all of these words relate to this problem solution type situation. Easy to treat, yeah, very good, very good. So what I would do then, what type of text would you see these phrases in? The type of text where there's some sort of medical, physical problem that has to be dealt with. And now I'd like you to fill in the blanks. Again, as we would do with our students, fill in the blanks. And then once you've filled in the blanks with your words, compare your choices with the actual choices. And you'll see that a lot of the choices that you've, like the words that you've chosen are identical to the ones that are like the correct answer choice. They might be synonymous. And of course, not in your case, but our students' case might be totally wrong. One interesting thing, though, I guess it's just one word, but it's just an example of what could happen. So one of the words that occurred in our warm-up, we're talking about, so what are we going to be talking about? And a lot of you came up with the word, how to moderate activity, the importance of moderation. And notice that for number 19, overtraining is easy to treat. It involves, of course, the correct word is scaling back your physical activity, but it involves moderating your physical activity, which would have been, just as good. Moderating and scaling back. So it just shows how a word which occurred in our warm-up stage, as it were, in our prediction stage, was actually one of the words that occurred or that could occur farther down in the text. So this warm-up stage, it does generate a lot of vocabulary that might actually be an answer choice or help us decide on what an appropriate answer would be. So that's why this warm-up stage is so very very important. And so there you have it. I have another couple of close patches, but I don't want to go through this again. So these are the correct answer choices here. I'd like you to, those of you who haven't gotten the book yet, but you're going to, right? I have the answer choices here so you can have a look at them. Interestingly, I see Alexandra, you know, some of the words that you chose are actually very similar to the correct words. So 16 repercussions. You said consequences, but interesting, consequences, it's synonymous to repercussion. So imagine you're in a classroom, right? And a student chose consequences. The correct answer is repercussions. And students say, well, I don't understand what repercussions means. Yeah, but you chose consequences. Actually, consequences and repercussions are synonymous. So that's an interesting thing. Or number 12, you chose benefit, profit, benefit, direct, synonyms right there. So, you know, this is a really good activity because it generates a lot of vocabulary, and a lot of the answer choices that the students would choose are not necessarily wrong. In fact, they're not wrong at all. They're right, and they're direct synonyms with the correct answer choice, which they may not understand, but they will now because they chose the synonym themselves. So it's a really, really great activity overall. Myself, I really like the close activities generally. So let's skip these next two activities. I mean, you get my point. I don't want to tire you. Besides, it's really hard to do this in the digital environment. I mean, it is, but what can we do? So to start wrapping up here, the closed passage is a very meaningful way to review a lot of things. Just as with any reading, extensive listening, we review how language is used in discourse, meaning how language is used to convey ideas. The way we've designed the closed passages in All American is a lot of the grammatical structures, a lot of the lexical items that have occurred previously are recycled in the closed passage. So it is a very good way to review things that have previously occurred in the book. Also, on the closed passage section, we have a lot of really, really useful suggestions, hints. We use the word tips, but they're more than just tips. And they've been, although they're for a specific item, for example, in the closed passage we did about slow food, the tip is question 7, does the missing phrase introduce a contrast, a concession, or a summary? And basically what we're asking students to do is, okay, they have to choose linking expression. What is the meaning of this linking expression? And this, of course, goes back to the role of linking expressions within a text and how ideas relate to one another. So all of these tips are very, very carefully chosen, and they are item specific, but they also help students understand a lot of important mechanisms of how language works. The blank might be an infinitive, might be a full infinitive or a bare infinitive. And the verb they choose is followed by either one or the other. And the 4 verb choices might be synonymous, but only one is structurally correct. So we look at, structural competence as far as language is concerned. Questions that pertain to choosing an appropriate linking expression just requires the reading of a whole sentence or a series of sentences to understand which linking expression is appropriate. Choosing a correct answer choice. So in this particular item, we have, I've remember correctly, it's wages, salary, fees. The 4 answer choices refer to some sort of remuneration, but the context is such that only one is correct. Looking for categories of words, etc. So all the tips that we have, as I said, they are item specific, but they are representative of a whole category of grammar and lexis. So to sum up here, and those of you who followed my presentation last week about reading comprehension, yes, this is the exact same slide I used. I was trying to figure out, well, a slide that would sum up everything that I've said. And it's the same thing that I said last time for reading comprehension. It's not just preparing for an exam. The closed passages, like any type of, it's new information for students, makes them more aware of the world around them. The closed passage is an excellent example of how the triangle, where we have, in our case, teaching is at the pinnacle, and then we have the two sides. The one goes to the testing and one goes to use. And of course, testing and use are linked because tests how well students use the language. So all three are in sync. And the closed patches is an excellent example of this. And we can use the closed passage, as we just demonstrated in today's seminar, to consolidate and develop the language that is being tested. And very, very important, I say this time and time again, in our classroom, we are teaching our students, we're consolidating. We shouldn't be testing them again and again and again. We should be looking for ways to use testing activities to consolidate language. And we can, because the way tests are designed now, they lend themselves excellently to consolidate the language which is being tested. It's a great time to be a teacher now and doing a test preparation, as I've said time and again. Just briefly about the book. Here's the cover of the book. I'm not going to tire you. I usually practice is all American. So a new book. Yeah, this is brand new. This is brand new book, brand new material, and just go to Hamilton House's website, and you'll see all of these features. In a nutshell, we have 10 units, very well constructed units, really trendy topics. The grammar, the vocabulary, balance of sentence level practice, but also discourse level consolidation. We did very, very thoroughly made sure that all the material is at a C1 and especially C2 level. And the student's book has a balance of text and sentence level activities, a lot of interactive material available, the video for each unit, kind of like a mini documentary, which really gets the students thinking. Basically, this book, and not only I really feel proud about, because not only gets students to learn the language, it helps them think. They learn new stuff, and I really like this. We teach students that you can learn new stuff with this. It's not just about passing an exam. You become smarter, more intelligent when doing stuff like this. So this is why I really, really enjoy this. And so I'm not going to tire you with this. You can get all this information on the Hamilton House website, and all the information is there. And if you haven't gotten a copy of your book, then of course you're going to get it. It's a really, really well designed course book. I want to stress though, C1, C2 level, and yes, they can identify with the topics, Alexander. Very, very valuable. We did a lot of brainstorming. We wanted to make sure this is as trendy as possible. Not something that interests us, but something that would interest especially our younger learners. And one thing I wanted to say, got on a bit of a tangent. Sorry for my digression. That this book is C1, C2 level. More C1 at the beginning, more C2 towards, after the fourth, fifth unit. No matter what examination your students are sitting for, this book is ideal for them. The onus is the language. And even the test activities we've done with the onus on their pedagogical value on these activities as teaching, learning activities, and not as testing activities. I want to stress that. And there you have it. We also have our ECPE book, which reflects the new format. And I'm open for your questions.
Okay, thank you, James. All right, everybody. So we have the question and answer mode now enabled. So that means please ask your questions and please put a question mark at the end of your question so that the platform recognizes the question and we can put it up on the screen for all of our viewers to see.
I see one question from Vasily. He didn't end it with a question mark. Is how many minutes should ideally be allocated to both Cloze tests during the examination? You know, there's no. Oh, there we go. Yeah, you know, there's no ideal here. You know, on the examination itself, I mean, the students do have their time limit for each section of the exam. In the classroom, you know, the activity that we just did, it is a little on the time-consuming side, but it does generate a lot of language use. You know, that they should spend as much time as the time allotted on the exam on the Cloze passage.
All right, I'll field this question. The companion, I don't have an exact date for you. I do know that I think we have 3 or 4 units ready, and we have already been providing them in digital format if you are teaching right now with the book. But the printed, completed version is going to be soon, very soon, beginning of October, maybe mid by the time we get it from the printers. Any other questions? Any more questions for James or myself about the presentation, about Hamilton House, about All American? Please don't be shy. Now's your chance. Thank you, Maria. Okay, Katerina is giving accolades to you, James.
Thank you for your kind words. There's a question about the interactive software, Terry, when it'll be available.
The interactive, there it is, let's publish it. The interactive whiteboard software, don't have an exact date for you yet, actually. The companion has to be ready first, all the material has to be ready, the printed material has to be ready first, then the interactive will be ready. So sometime in October, we'll have the interactive software. And I see some more people typing. Oh, here we go.
If students start after a big pause in learning, can they go back to this book or start from a lower level? If they think, you know, if students have taken a big pause from learning and they've distanced themselves from the language, then yes, they do have to start at a lower level. I mean, if you don't use something, you will lose it, right? I mean, think about this. It's the same analogy. I work out a lot, right? And I'm in really great shape. But for one reason or another, I maybe got tired, you know, overtraining, as we said earlier. I stopped working out. And I don't do anything for a year and a half. I don't do anything for a year and a half. And I go back to the gym and I say, you know what? I'll start lifting weights and running and doing everything I did at the same level I was a year and a half ago. What's going to happen to me? I'm going to injure myself. I'm not going to be able to manage it. It's the same thing with anything. If they've been away from the language for a while, this typically happens with adults and older teenagers, then yes, they do have to start at a lower level, refresh themselves, and then work at an exam at the level that their goal is at. I mean, if they were at a C1 level, they gave up English for one reason or another, and then a year and a half later, they say they realize, oh, I really need to get the certificate. Then yeah, they're not going to be at the level they were at when they left the language. They have to start at a lower level.
Great. Well said, James. Well said. Okay, if there are no more questions, then I think this about wraps it up for today's session.
Yeah, thank you for your time. I hope you have a great week and a great year and a great life. And a great life above all else.
Absolutely. Okay, James, thank you very much. And
Thanks, sir.
everyone who
Take
joined
care.
us today, thank you very much. And we will see you next time.
Yep.
Have a great day.